Let's continue working on our Piet Mondrian heart project that we started last time. So today is all about adding color to your heart. So we learned about Piet Mondrian, the famous abstract artist. And we also learned some key words which we're using in our artwork. We learned about abstract art, which is art that is made up of lines, shapes, and colors instead of subjects like a person or a place. We also learned about vertical lines, which are straight lines that go up and down. And we learned about horizontal lines, which are straight lines that go from side to side, as well as the primary colors, which are red, blue, and yellow. The primary colors can make all of the other colors if they're mixed together. And we're using the primary colors today to add color to our Piet Mondrian hearts. So now let's review the directions for our project today. For your supplies, you will need your heart project from last time. You may need a pencil and a black crayon if you haven't finished drawing your lines or outlining them. You will also need some coloring materials today. We'll be using some red, blue, and yellow markers as well as black, and you'll need a pair of scissors. First, finish drawing your lines and outlining them with a black crayon if you need to. Then we're going to color in the shapes inside our heart using the primary colors, red, blue, and yellow, and black. And we're going to focus on using contrast in our coloring today. That means I'm not going to color all of the shapes in blue in one area. I'm going to try to balance my color a little bit. So put blue on one side, maybe in the middle, and on the other side of my heart, so that all the colors stand out. Lastly, we'll carefully cut out our heart shapes using a pair of scissors. All right, artist, let's go ahead and see our directions. Welcome to day 2 of your Piet Mondrian heart project. Last week we learned about the artist Piet Mondrian, and we created a heart in his style using vertical lines that go up and down and horizontal lines that go from side to side. We drew them in pencil and then we outlined them with a black crayon. Today is all about adding color. So we're going to use markers for our project. You'll use the 3 primary colors, red, yellow, and blue, and then we'll also have the option of using black and leaving some of our shapes white. We're going to try to use something called contrast when we color in our shapes. So we're coloring in our shapes one at a time. So let's say I'm coloring this shape in red, and when I color, I like to use lines of color. So I'm filling in my shape using a line of color by going up and down with my marker. And I'm trying to fill in all of the little white spots. So my coloring is super neat and not scribble scrabby. So I have a red shape here. When I cross a black line, I don't want to necessarily put red here, or even over here. I want to switch up my color, and that shows contrast because it's going to make the colors stand out by putting different colors next to them. So by putting blue next to red, the red and blue are going to stand out or pop out. If I just colored in the whole thing red, well then none of my shapes would stand out. So we're trying to use a contrast here to make our shapes stand out. Remember that you can use black to color in some of your shapes, and you can even leave some of them white. So I'm going to color in this one black, and then I think I'll leave this little one white. One tip that I have for you is outlining the edges of your shape. So I'm adding yellow around the edges of this square, and then I'm going to fill in the center with color. That helps my color stay within the lines. So I'm going to speed up my video and color in my shapes, but remember, I want you to take your time so that your artwork looks your very best. Okay, so I am all done coloring in my Piet Mondrian heart. Our last step for this project is cutting out our heart shape. So we're going to use our scissors to do that. Remember, when you use scissors, the top hole of your scissors is where your thumb goes and the bottom hole is where your fingers go. Then you open and close your scissors. I'm going to hold my paper with the hand I don't cut with, and I'm going to start by cutting off the extra white paper around my heart. So I'm just getting all the extra parts off. That way I can go back and get closer to the black line and really cut out the heart shape. This just gets the extra paper out of my way. Now I can try to cut as close as I can to that black line, but I don't want to cut off the black line. I want to cut right next to it. And I'm being very careful not to cut off any parts of my heart when I'm doing this. We don't want any broken hearts here. But if you accidentally do, we can always tape it back together. And I'm going slowly and turning my paper as I cut. Awesome! Now I've cut out my Piet Mondrian heart. After you cut yours out, turn your heart over and make sure that you can still see your name in the middle of your heart. If you wrote your name at the top of your paper, you might have to write it again because you probably cut that piece of your paper off. So just make sure that your name is there, and then you're all done. I hope you had fun learning about the artist Piet Mondrian and creating a heart in his style using vertical lines, horizontal lines, and primary colors. I can't wait to see what you create. Have fun, artists!